So sprites gave me a bit of an issue whenever I first started in Unity, and I wanted to kind of share some of the things that I learned that really made the sprite slicing a lot easier. Just a couple of quality of life changes that really were impactful for me. So I wanted to share those with you guys. So I'm going to drag in a sprite sheet that is metal really quickly. So as we can see here, it's all metal. Okay, so the first thing that I want to cover is I want to show you what to do in order to start cutting sprites out of something that has multiple sprites in it. And then I'm going to show you kind of what not to do. Okay, so here's what to do. What you want to do is you want to come over to sprite mode up here and you want to change it to multiple. And then down here at filter mode, you want to change this to no point filter. This is just a quality of life change for your assets that you're bringing in. It's going to reduce compression, and it's going to make everything look a lot better. Now, this is kind of the biggest change that we made here. So basically, sprite mode single would be for if it was just this one block, right? So it's going to suggest or assume that just one block is going to be created. Changing this to multiple actually lets us create, we can take this block and this block and this block and as many blocks as we want. We can cut them all out if we want, and we can actually keep them. And whenever we keep them, it'll show like this, right? You can actually see, if I save this, you can see I cut out this block, this block, this block, and this block, and another block down here. And they're all right here. So that's the difference. So I'm going to show you really quickly if we go single, and you'll want to apply right here. So I'm going to shrink this just a little bit. Yeah, perfect. Right about there. So I'm going to show you if I go with single and I say, okay, cool, let's get a sprite. So if I come here, as you can see, what's happened already is the box is already here, right? My selection box is already here. I can move it, but I can't get rid of it. So if I want to take a single sprite from it and it's all I want to do, I can actually come in here and I can take this one sprite out. Whoop. One sprite out. So let's say I wanted to do that. I could totally do that, and that's fine. But if I want to take multiple sprites out, I want this to be multiple. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to apply Sprite Editor. And now you see we don't have that box here. So we can scroll in. We can say, okay, I want this guy. And I'm not going to cut these out perfectly, just for the sake of example. And then we can scroll out, and let's say that we want this guy. Okay, that's another one. Perfect. Boom. You can see we still have this one selected. It's not highlighted, but it's selected. We can select it by just clicking on it or clicking in either of them, really. So you don't have to click specifically on the line. You can just click inside of it. And you can move the boxes by just dragging them. Okay, I'm going to show you something that saved me a ton of time, okay? Instead of being like, oh, okay, well, now I need this one. Okay, so I'm going to like center in on this one, and select this guy, right? Instead of doing that, hold Alt, right? If you hold Alt, you can just grab and drag and move around the page, and it's so nice. And then you just scroll out, you move over here. Okay, I want this one. You cut this out, and then you're like, oh, well, I want this one. So holding Alt lets you kind of just move around the page. Whereas otherwise, anytime you want to move around the page, you actually have to use these bars, and it's just really unintuitive. And if you're like, oh, well, let me move to the left, you're creating a box every time you do that. Oh, well, now I just created this box. That sucks. So if you create a box that you didn't mean to, because you're trying to move around, you're used to grabbing and dragging like this and having it work from other, game engines or, whatever else, you have two options. You can Control Z, which still works in this, or if I put this back, so let's say I put it over here. If I put this back, all I have to do is click revert, but revert will remove all of them, okay? So revert removes every single one. So the best thing to do is to just, like, let's say that we cut this out. Perfect. And we try to move. Oops. That's a mistake. We didn't actually want to do that. The best thing to do in this situation is just simply Control plus Z, which undoes and moves back. So it gets rid of this one, but it doesn't get rid of all of them. Revert is going to get rid of absolutely everything that you selected on the screen or on the sprite sheet so far. So you want to really avoid that if you can. Okay, so the last thing that I will cover here, let's go ahead and you want to get your sprites typically to be pixel perfect for the most part. So we want to bring this into about here. That one's good. This one we want to move back just 1 pixel probably to about there. And then this one we want to bring into about there. So let's say that perfect. This is exactly what we want. All we have to do in order to cut this out or any other ones, and it doesn't matter. So if we cut this one out, for example, perfect. Move back 1 pixel there. And we want to move in 1 pixel here to about there. Okay, so now we have 2 things selected, right? We have this guy over here and we have this guy over here. What happens if I hit apply right now is it's going to create a sprite out of this and out of this. Okay, so it doesn't matter how many you have. As soon as you hit apply, as long as you're running with multiple on your sprite mode, it's going to create sprites from both of these. Okay, let's go ahead and do it. So we could click apply, and then we close this. And the way that we see our sprites is by clicking our little drop down arrow here. So here are our sprites. And I know that in this view, you can't really see them too well. Obviously, there's no thumbnail. So if you click on them, it'll show you your individual sprites over here. Beyond that, if we wanted to just use them, all we have to do is drag and drop, right? And since this is our game display, this is, well, let's explain scene first. So since this is our scene, everything here, the white box is game. So that's what is here. So this white box represents everything seen here. So obviously, anytime something moves here, it's going to be seen here. But if it's moved outside of here, then it wouldn't be seen here. So if we wanted to take metal piece number 2 and we wanted to move it to the side, you're never going to see it. All you're going to see is that main scene. So that's just a couple of tips about sprites that really helped me. They're kind of annoying to start with, especially since you have to get them to pixel perfect in order to have the best possible asset. But sprites are, they're fun to mess with. Once you get down the keyboard shortcuts, the biggest one for me was holding down Alt so that I could just move around my sprite sheet, select stuff, zoom in seamlessly. That was the biggest tip for me, and I didn't really see anybody else explain it super simply. So I wanted to just jump in, make a quick video on a couple of tips that may help some of the newer guys out there like myself. And so here we are. If you got value out of this video, I highly suggest subscribing to the channel. I'm going through Unity from start to finish as a completely new developer. This is day number 2 right now that I'm recording this. So I am very fresh on Unity, and I'm just going to keep going through and keep sharing what I learned and hopefully helping you guys along the way. That is the goal. So if that sounds interesting to you guys, then please subscribe and let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. I'm really excited for this journey. Thank you guys for the support so far, and I'll see you next time. Peace.